Football with friends. It's fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Friday, a Final Takes Friday. So pumped to be here with you. Make sure that you are voting for who you think the winner is of Final Takes. Everybody knows the rules. We are going to go through our takes, our final takes for the week, and a round up the week here on Orange Bloods Live with our takes on the most important things going into the weekend. So I hope you enjoy it, Cody. We got a whole bunch of takes to get to today, so let's just get to it. So we had the War Room yesterday over on orangebloods.com. It was a good War Room, some team notes, stuff like that. We'll have some more of these, I guess, segments about it. But I did hear this in my reporting. I did hear some interesting things from a high level SEC recruiting source about the 2026 offensive line. And now this is a source who is a director of, I guess a scouting director in the SEC. And this was a guy who last year, you might remember that I had a conversation with him that I had reported from, an unnamed source that at least in this person's opinion, Mike Fasusi was, if not one of the best, if not the best offensive tackle prospects that he's ever professionally evaluated, right? So I'll always remember in my mind that this guy was the biggest Mike Fasusi fan ever. And so I was just interested. I wanted to circle back with him and say, like, well, how do you compare the 2026 offensive line class, these guys here in Texas, to Fasusi? And so here's what he said. And Cody, I'll just be interested to hear your reactions to all this stuff. So first off, on Felix Ojo. So his school has offered Felix Ojo, but he doesn't think that they're going to get him. He thinks that eventually comes down to Texas or Ohio State. So just kind of something interesting there. He said that Ojo has all the tools to match Fasusi, but he did say that even though Fasusi, if you remember, whenever he was coming out, was kind of new to football. I forget exactly how many years he'd played, but he was still kind of. Do you remember that? Did he start?
I want to say it was like his sophomore year, maybe.
Yeah, freshman or sophomore. I forgot exactly what it was, but he was still pretty green as far as football was concerned. But he said even with that being the case, that he had this immediate sort of polish to him with the way that he moves, that he doesn't necessarily see in Ojo. But he did mention that Ojo is very young for his grade. As far as I asked about Turntine, and he said with John Turntine, you can't even make a fair comparison between Turntine and Fasusi because he said Turntine's too small to do that. That was just the quote. He said, just people don't realize he's not that big of a dude. We've talked about it before here on the show. You've looked into the powerlifting records and stuff to see him listed as like sub 270, stuff like that. But this is further kind of
keep it nice, chat. Keep it nice, chat.
Further evidence evaluators have some concern about his size, but he did say out of the three guys I asked about that he's the most refined and the most football smart, and that he's wired the right way.
Turntine?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
He's wired the right way. He's athletic. He's certainly a great prospect.
Do you ask about Krempin?
Yeah. So with Krempin, that was the thing. I was surprised to hear him say that he's going to play center in college.
Wait.
So he's going to play
he's
center.
He's going to play center? Or that predicts him?
He said, okay. He projected to play center, but what he said was he's going to play on the interior. He's close to maxed out. And what that means is that he just doesn't think he's got much more room to fill out with good mass. He said that he's very technical with an explosive lower body, and he also said that he loves his play demeanor. So I don't know. He thinks Ojo clearly is the best. He doesn't think any of them are as good as Fasusi. But he says
I would agree.
But he says that Ojo's the closest, and who he thinks he could be, but he just doesn't see quite as much natural polish. He did mention the same thing that Jason has mentioned a bunch before, though, and that's that Ojo's young for his grade. I'm not sure how much that matters, but
I mean, it's a great trait. It's a great thing to have on the resume. 16 years old or something like this. Like, oh, he's going to be hypothetically, imagine this guy comes in and maybe starts as a true freshman. He's 17, right? He's the Ryan Williams of left tackles. Like it's impressive to do to receiver, but Very impressive.
Oh gosh,
Like left
yeah.
tackle, 17 years old.
Going up against like going up against that jack position at Georgia, like some monster they have there.
Also imagine in practice every day at 17 years old getting to go up against Colin Simmons.
Yeah. Would he get the I guess he would get the opportunity if he came in and started. If Gooseby left
Exactly.
and Ojo came in. Yep.
Yeah, how better to expedite your freaking, than come in and get Colin Simmons every single day in practice.
Well, it feels like Colin Simmons lines up on the right tackle more than the left, but
I
I don't.
don't care. I'd say, Colin, you're going over there. We're
Yeah,
doing good on good.
yeah.
So here's my thoughts.
What about Crippen?
Here's my thoughts.
Have you ever thought about that?
Here's my thoughts on this. I had never entertained, and I don't think we haven't entertained this at all. Okay, first off, did he say anything about like Krempin is like acknowledging this? Like Krempin's like, I'll play inside, or if this was just like him saying, listen, you got to tell the kid what you got to tell the kid, but he's going to play inside.
Full transparency. This was a text message conversation, so it was like I didn't get to follow up in too many nuanced ways.
Okay. So that's interesting because we've heard kind of the same conversation about Turntine. Like he's going to play tackle, but what we've been saying, like, I'm not going to say anything derogatory or mean or anything. I never will, but he's a guard. He's a guard. I have not thought that off the hoof on Krempin. Would he make a great center? Probably. But the idea of Ojo at left tackle, Turntine at left guard, and Krempin at center, pretty enticing.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good. Gosh,
that's a great class. That's an excellent class.
Not sure I wouldn't.
Nick Robertson at right guard, Max Wright at right tackle.
Yeah, we're not saying that that's the 2026 starting offensive line or anything, but it's
no.
Right.
We're saying that would be a phenomenal 2026 recruiting or 2026 recruiting class.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, you obviously the conversation would have to come up with Turntine and with Krempin if this is the case, right? And this is just one person's opinion. It's an opinion I trust, and it's certainly a guy that's been around all these dudes.
No, I know, but that's why I'm just like, I'm entering it into my brain because I'm saying we haven't even thought or talked about this.
I wonder if they've been talked much to. I wonder if Krempin and Turntine have been talked a lot to about maybe playing interior offensive line.
I don't know. I think I told you this the other day. I think Krempin's going to just go see what Will Campbell go top 5, and he's going to go to LSU. I think he likes LSU a lot, but
be like,
I think we'll have that problem. But
they said Will Campbell was undersized.
Exactly.
And they're going to say that's the recruiting pitch from Brian Campbell.
Exactly. That's the recruiting pitch. And then the Texas recruiting pitch for Ojo is, hey, look what Kelvin Banks just did. Kelvin Banks came in and played on day 1 left tackle, and now he's top 10. And Gooseby got his opportunity. Boom. Gooseby's probably going to go pro. Boom. And it's going to move quick just like that. So the Turntine one is, I guess, going to be the conversation to be had. But DJ Campbell was same class as Banks, right? He was number 1 overall in the country.
Yeah, it was DJ Campbell and Banks and Cam Williams and Nato and Cole Hudson.
So this has got to be what you got to do. You got to,
wait, was there another? I think
Ojo's
I forgot.
Got to be your Ojo's got to be your Banks. Turntine's got to be your DJ Campbell, and then your projectile, massive human being is Max Wright, who plays right tackle, who now is the top 10 tackle in the country. And that's the Cam Williams kind of hypothetical. That's got to be your big 3. At least
they need another class like the 2022 class.
That I think that's what
it's time to re-up this thing. Like they've kind of patched together some of these where they've patched together some of these with like one kind of high-end guy, or maybe in 2023 not really, the one high-end guy ending up being, that was Gooseby's class, right? Like hitting the home run out of the park with Gooseby. But I think that with this class, man, you need another class that's just a star-studded offensive line class. And if they could nail I think that Ojo, Turntine, and Krempin, it's going to be a tightrope to be able to get those 3, just because you're gonna have to be honest with them and tell them that you see certain ones have been playing inside, and who knows how it's going to go. But all right, do you want to move on to one of yours, or do you want to do another one of mine, or what do you want to do?
Sure, let's move on to the 2026 class continuation. So last weekend, KJ Edwards took a visit to Colorado, and these are the things he said. And I quote, "They are definitely in my top caliber now, End quote. Really, they view the mountains over the stadium. With being a Texas boy, you hardly see any landscape like that of how it is in Boulder. Has Marshall Falk put a scare in UT, and that's why they're out here offering guys like Carson Baker?
Dude, I can't believe the my first instinct was like, I'm a total boomer for thinking this, but those pictures of these guys on these recruiting trips are beautiful. I'll bet they love the scene. Like I'm like, these kids don't care. But for me, if I like, I'd be wowed by the scenery. Like, but that's just probably me being a old dude, like an old dude that loves the outdoors and stuff, and not an 18-year-old, or 17-year-old kid like who cares more about going to the clubs or whatever. But like these kids, these guys are, I mean, all of them have talked about how pretty the Ojo talked about it. KJ Edwards talked about it. So maybe, I don't know. It could be a selling point. I don't know if Marshall Falk has put up scare in UT. I don't think you could go around being worried about some kind of boogeyman at Colorado.
Marshall Falk.
Yeah, I mean, now right, he's Marshall Falk, but right now he's the running backs coach at Colorado.
Okay, well, Deion Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
Now he's head coach Deion Sanders at Colorado. Like
Coach Prime. I mean, I get it. I get it. But I mean, I don't. Did Texas ever worry about was you like, gosh, how are we ever going to recruit against DeMarco Murray at Oklahoma?
I mean, DeMarco Murray is a good running back, but putting DeMarco Murray
okay, well, so what if like LaDainian Tomlinson started being a running back coach somewhere
at TCU? Okay, LaDainian Tomlinson goes to TCU, and all of a sudden there's a freaking horse like KJ Edwards at Carthage, and he takes a visit at TCU, and he goes, "Tell me you wouldn't want to go play for LT if LT's like, man, we think you can play everywhere. We're looking forward to getting you on this offense. You're going to start as a freshman, and I'm going to be your coach. And we're coming off a 9-win season. And
how much NIL you giving me? I mean, that's what these kids ask these days.
I'm just saying, man. Like, you got to think about it.
Look until Marshall Falk gets a guy that Texas wants that is a highly contested thing. No, I'm not convinced that he's put a scare in UT.
Look at the drafted players this last year. Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton, the 2 first-round running backs. Did Boise State, North Carolina compete for a championship this year? Actually, Boise, actually.
I mean, they made the college football playoff.
Yeah, but they wasn't going to do anything.
No, I mean, they were never going to.
Okay, you get Ohio State, who's got the 2 backs. After that, it's UCF and Harvey, not competing. Iowa, not competing. Tech, not competing. Arizona State made the playoff. Like, these running backs, you get drafted high, you get hellacious output in college. It's like if your goal isn't necessarily win a championship, because he's considering, I believe it was A&M, Texas, and who was the third team on the list for KJ?
I don't know.
I don't want to say Baylor, but I feel like it might have been Baylor.
There
was a third Texas
SMU?
Team. It might have been. There was a third Texas team. I'm poor reporting here, not having this at the forefront of my brain. Third team is A&M, Texas. No, this column says now just Texas and A&M, and then also now Colorado's entered into the scheme. I for sure thought that Baylor was mentioned in here, or maybe SMU, or it doesn't really matter. But the point is still taken that there was a third Texas team in the conversation. And I'm just saying, like, if the focal point isn't like, hey, I got to go to win a championship. It's like, hey, I want to go to college. I want to play for a sick coach. I want to, show out. I want to get drafted. I want to, like, if your goals are different, they're not necessarily go to college and win a national championship. Kind of we talked about the other day with, I was like, I understand how people are just like writing off the Ojo stuff visiting Colorado, but they pull a 5-star every year. They get one.
I'm not worried about Marshall Falk, and he does not put a scare in UT until he actually does, until he puts a scare in UT.
Until he takes your back.
Yeah. All right. Here's my next one. Oh, dude. So how about this? So I was I was looking into Cody Campbell, who's going to serve on Trump's college athletics commission with Nick Saban. Um, and I have to admit, the guy's got some interesting ideas. I was looking back at an interview that he had, sort of as all this stuff was getting kind of kicked off in the Fort Worth Star Telegram by Mac Engel, who's like their sports kind of opinion writer and columnist and stuff like that. And this guy, I mean, he's got some pretty uh what do you think of this? So what he says, all college, and this again, this is from 2021. I don't know how his opinions have shaped since then. But this kind of gives you an idea of where this guy is as far as how he started out, as far as his base assumptions and sort of his. Cody Campbell played at Texas Tech. He was a all Big 12 offensive lineman there. He played 2 years with the Colts. He goes on to found a company called Double Eagle Energy that he sold just back in February for $4.1 billion to Diamondback Energy. He lives in Fort Worth. He's the founder of the Matador Club, which is the collective for Texas Tech athletics, NIL. And he sits on the board of regents. So it's like Andy gave him 25 million bucks, and the new field is named after him, and all the rest. All right. Anytime they need a player, he strokes a check for the money that they need. One of the most influential boosters and donors in college football. He's up there now with like the Tillman Fertittas and the old, what's the old Yellowwood guy from Auburn, and up there with those dudes. So obviously this guy is a smart man and somebody with some savvy to him, and I think he's probably his opinions are principled, right? And so even if we're looking at quotes from 2021, you could still see where his MO kind of, at least where it comes from, right? In this slightly newer version of things. What he was saying back then is he said all college football and basketball players should be paid a cash amount beyond their scholarship award. To maximize parity and fairness, the amount should be the same for all players, but should be different among Power 5 schools and Group of 5 schools. Say $50,000 per player for P5 and $25,000 for G5. He said half of the cash payment would be made to players, half will be deposited into the trust for their benefit. The trust will be managed by whatever entity manages the university's endowment fund, and the players would receive the full amount of the trust upon completion of their degree. He said each player would contract their name, image, and likeness rights with the school for $10,000 per year for P5 and $5,000 per year for G5. The school would be responsible for marketing the rights, and the players would receive a 25% royalty on any revenue the school receives from their NIL. Half of the upfront payment and all the royalty revenue would be placed into a trust. He also says that no high school athlete should be recruited until after their sophomore year of high school. He wants a more restrictive recruiting calendar. He said penalties for trying to skirt this stuff would be a federal crime. So it's like he has some strong ideas and some big takes. Also, I've noticed that there's some things where I don't really know what to make of it. He's talked recently about on SiriusXM College Sports Radio, and I'm not sure that I even understand it, but the Broadcast Rights Act of 1961, what he wants to do is he wants to make it to where he says college football is leaving money on the table.
Yep.
And that in the NFL, they all bargain together to where it's like each team makes as much money as all the other teams off of the broadcast rights. Whereas in today's college football stuff, and what's happened since the 1960s is that the conferences manage their broadcast rights, where it's like, so it's good for like the SEC and stuff. They make more, obviously they make more money off their media rights than other schools, right? He kind of wants it to be more kind of distributionist, where it's like every school will get the same amount. And he's like, and if you're the Texas of the world, or you're the Alabamas of the world, or all that, like you like it's not gonna significantly matter to you. because you have all these other built-in advantages even within the system as it currently exists, right? But he's saying, but if you're the Wyomings of the world, or you're the New Mexicos of the world, like that really does level the playing field and make the overall product better, stuff like this. He's also said the thing that worries me about him being on this commission is that, and he said this recently, is that he thinks that he says it's disrupting the schedules of our college athletes too much to have them travel across the country for every game. Like he says that the ACC's cockamamie and the Big Ten's cockamamie and all the rest, because it's just
The SEC is pretty tight.
what?
The SEC is pretty tight.
Yeah, but he just says, how can he didn't say this, but basically what he's saying is like, how was Stanford in the ACC this last year?
And Cal. They were traveling to Miami and Miami.
They're on the. I mean, they're literally positioned on the Pacific Coast. Why are they in the Atlantic Coast Conference? It's like it's a weird deal. He's like, it makes travel too hard. It's too expensive. It's ridiculous. He wants things to be more regional again, which that's the one thing he said out of everything that he said that sort of scares me, because I don't want Texas to be lumped into a conference again with Texas Tech and SMU and Rice and Baylor. Like
well, to be fair, Alex, as long as Sarkisian is blowing the whistle, which could be for the next 20 years, if his interviews are not fugazi and he's truthing and everything he's been saying the last year, Texas goes into a conference with TCU and Houston and Tech and all this stuff. I mean, it's going to be old school ass whoopings.
Yeah, it was boring football, dude.
This is going to be like
I had more fun watching this SEC schedule this year than I have watching Texas in my adult life.
You'd rather see a tight game against Florida than a 63-3 drumming against Kansas?
It just means more. It just means more in the SEC, dude.
I love that. So I mean, I doubt you've heard the Josh Pate show, but Josh Pate talked about it for 20 minutes last night, and he talked about, okay, I didn't know Campbell had like written books and stuff. And
he's written books.
I guess he's written stuff. I don't know. He said that's what Pate said. But yeah, the one quote that he had on SiriusXM was, the NBA has half as many viewers as college football, but they get twice as much money.
Yeah, he has a very strong take about the broadcast stuff. And
it's like, that's, if you look at it from like an NFL perspective, it's that they have CBS and Fox, and then they have their ESPN. Now it's, obviously growing because they're getting games in like random weekends and stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you could get, I would love if there was a centralized, all of college football was under the same, because then you don't have to be like, well, man, I got ABC. That means I only get to watch the SEC. Or I got CBS. I only get to watch X. Or like, you can't watch Notre Dame if you don't have like
what Peacock. The hell? Yeah.
What it used to, I can't remember what it is now.
Paramount or something, maybe.
Yeah, you have to have all this different crap. It's like, if it just was a centralized, I like that idea. Yeah, so I think he'll be good for it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this whole thing. I don't know. I mean, it kind of makes it, I think that players aren't going to be interested in getting just $50K after we've seen this stuff go up. I think it's probably might have to be more than that. I don't know. And there's also the whole thing about selling your NIL rights to the school for $10,000 and then just getting a 25% royalty on what the school sells.
I think I thought I heard you say that as if they were buying it from the school.
No, is that what it said? I thought
that's how I heard it. I guess the way I heard it was you had to buy your rights.
No, so each player would contract their name, image, and likeness rights with their school for $10,000 per year. So the school would buy their rights for $10,000 per year, and then they would be responsible for marketing the rights, and the players would receive a 25% royalty on any revenue the school receives from their NIL. I'm not sure I like that.
Regardless of if that happens or not, there was funny money before, there's funny money today, and there'll be funny money tomorrow, even if they do this.
Yeah. No, look, there's no funny meat at Texas Beef Traders. It's all delicious. It's, you can have great times there. Like you can have fun, but you would never look at this meat and point at it and say that that's funny. You'd look at that meat and say that meat is serious meat. certified Angus beef. Have you tried Texas Beef Traders? I just ate it last night. I'm about to eat a steak sandwich right now. It'll be I try not to eat carbs during the week, but man, my daughter's select basketball coach ET, his wife makes this sourdough bread, homemade. It's soft, it's crunchy on the outs, it's crispy on the outside, but soft in the middle. It's just perfect for a steak sandwich with some leftover filet from last night. So
Mm.
I'm going to go ahead and enjoy that here after a while. But I will say, and look, it's already practically the weekend, right, Cody?
Yes.
Right. Um, go into Texas Beef Traders this weekend. It's Mother's Day. What more could you do for your mother or your wife or the mother in your life than get her some delicious steak? It could be it could be an interesting new cut that you've never had before. They got a million different things. You get 10% off when you tell them that you heard about them right here on Football with Friends. So make sure and check them out. Go see Darren, go see Shay, have a great time. It's going on right now. Look, you can leave right now and go up to the shop, and Darren's having a wine tasting as we speak. I think it's going on until 9:00. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Go find them. 620 Loman's Crossing, right there in the heart of Lakeway. Get your 10% off. Tell them you heard about them here on Football with Friends. All right. You got one you want, or do you want me to toss up another one here?
We got to talk about this.
What?
Who's responsible for the Jordan Hudson banishment from UNC's football facilities today?
That was wild to see this morning, huh?
Yeah. Who's responsible? Is it UNC? Is it Lombo? Was it Bill? Was it Bill's family? Like, there's so many different angles and thoughts here that I don't really. It feels like it has to be coming off the heels of that interview last weekend or 2 weekends, whatever it was, last weekend, the weekend before, the CBS one where she interrupted him and stuff and made just like the view look bad. We obviously already have heard, and this is not confirmed, but has been said publicly that she's the reason that the Hard Knocks was not to be taking place at UNC. Like, she's been up in this situation for everything. Like, do you think this was a bill saying, all right, step back? Was it like Lombo got called from like Barstool in the middle of a Barstool show? They called Lombo, and Kirk
Who from Barstool has
Kirk Menahan was like, he has a show. He's just a random guy, and he calls Lombo, and he's like, hey, can you like, and he's like trying to ask Lombo about Jordan Hudson, and like
Yeah.
Lombo's like, I'm in a recruiting meeting right now.
Oh gosh.
And yeah, so like that's kind of where it's at. Like, was it like the UNC head honchos, like the president stuff, saying like this is too much, we're getting too much here?
It was that AD Bubba Cunningham.
You think it was Bubba? You don't think it was Bill's family or Lombo or anything?
Who in Bill's family is going to tell Bill Belichick what to do?
Maybe his kids saying, "Yo, pops, like what the."
Since what was this kid, Steve? Is he going to tell his dad she's got to be banned?
No, but he's gonna say, Dad, like, I guess that's a good thought. Like, Steve's not gonna ban Jordan, but he would have to say, like, hey, Dad, like, we gotta chill this out.
Yeah, but then that's just like that's something where dad just says, okay, we're gonna chill it out.
That's fair.
But it's not something where like
It's gonna go to the top.
Is Bill Belichick gonna come out and leak it that she's banned?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, good point.
Like, so
this is definitely president.
I just think it has to be. I don't know. Maybe like I don't know who's. It's just it has to start at the top. It's just for me if you're Belichick.
I bet it's Lombo. I'm gonna go Lombo.
Whenever I first saw the report of this, and because I've never even watched this guy, like his show looks like an acid trip. It's this Pablo Torre guy, right? And
he got fired from ESPN because his show sucked. So
okay, thankfully I've never seen him before, but apparently he's the one who had this report. So yeah. I went, and so he has some cockamamie co-hosts on the show, and one guy was saying that the total Bill Belichick move would have been to say this has gone too far. She's banned from practice, banned from the facilities, but say it had to come from up top. And he's like, I want you there, but they're telling me I can't. That's the only way I could see it coming from Belichick if he did something super Machiavellian like that. But I think that it's always going to have to come from the top because, like I said earlier, it's not like Bill Belichick's going to, ban his own girlfriend, then leak it to the media that she's banned.
Yeah, because when you're in the moment, that's the classic. When you're in the moment, you never realize you're in the moment. Like you never realize you're in the wrong at the moment. Usually, I'm gonna go Lombo. You're gonna go president. I'm gonna go Lombo.
No,
let us know in the chat what you think.
No, I'm going athletic director.
All right,
athletic director.
Fair play.
All right. Because I don't think that Michael Lombardi has any autonomy to boss around Bill Belichick. I almost kind of think Bill's more of Lombo's boss, as he's always been.
Fair.
All right. So here's this. So ESPN is going to add up to $80 million to the SEC's TV contract to go to a 9-game schedule. Here's my question. I've talked about it. I love more SEC football games. But why is everybody so dead set on going to a 9-game SEC schedule, just adding another stop on this meat grinder? Why do they want to do that? And if you're Texas or if you're in these other schools and the SEC goes to a 9-game SEC schedule, is there any way to like retroactively take like future games against Notre Dame and stuff off the schedule? You're going to you know what I mean?
I mean, you can back out. Who backed out last year? Was that who backed out of their
somebody was looking for some kind of game. I forgot what it was.
Was it like Ole Miss? Did Ole Miss back out on somebody?
There's something. It's hard to remember everything. But it's just I don't know, man. If it's me, I'm not interested in scheduling any tough out of conference opponent when I know I got to face a meat grinder of a 9-game SEC schedule. And if it's $80 million total split up between that's so what? So $5 million per team.
Yeah, 16.
Thoughts?
No, I mean I don't think it's worth it. I think it's dumb.
So that's your take?
I just think it's dumb. Also, like on the side of that is this college football 16-team bracket that has been proposed in the last day, according to Ross Dellinger. 4 SEC, 4 Big 10, 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, 1 G6, and 3 at-large bids is what was proposed. And the Big 10 and SEC could have play-in games to get into the playoffs. So that is your 9th game.
It's beautiful. That's your 9th game. That's your 9th game. Give me more. Give me this kind of action. You know what I mean? Give me this kind of action, and let me keep getting to see schools like Texas.
Give South Carolina a chance.
Scheduling guys like and Texas can keep scheduling guys like Ohio State and Michigan and Notre Dame into the future. It's like, man, have that be your. And then like you said, we get a dogfight here at the very end between like a Ole Miss versus South Carolina and Tennessee versus Alabama or so. You know what I'm saying? Like we would have been able to see some of that stuff.
So this last year, 1 would have been Texas, 2 would have been Georgia, 3 Tennessee, 4 Bama. So we had 3 Tennessee against 6 Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's great.
And then Alabama against LSU.
That's great, right? Isn't that good? It's fun. What a great extra fun game.
South Carolina still technically gets cucked out, but so does Missouri. But I think that's fun. I mean, I want to see Tennessee, Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin goes back to Knoxville to get a playoff spot.
It's an extra game.
Alabama, LSU.
Yeah, dude, it's perfect. Yeah, I sign me up, dude. That's my final take on that. I love that. Let's see here. One more here, just real quick about Catches reporting that Trey Owens has a KJ Lacey problem in the war room last night. That was actually the title of it. Do you agree with that? Is it really a KJ Lacey problem, or is it more of just a Trey Owens problem?
I find it hard to believe that I find it hard to believe that in 4 weeks, KJ Lacey overtook Trey Owens. I find it more likely that Trey Owens beat himself out of that spot over the course of the last year. For whatever. I don't know I don't know anything. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like he could have beaten himself out of that spot more so than KJ Lacey could just come in 4 weeks and been like, I'm Bryce Young 2.0. What's up? Like, that's possible that he's a phenom, that he could come in and he could be Bryce Young. But what I saw Trey Owens a year ago and kind of what we've heard about Trey Owens, just kind of like, I've been a Trey Owens backer and it caught me off guard. I'll say that for sure. I don't know. It turned into one of the must watch things in fall camp. So hopefully they give us practice access, because I am 1000% flying in whatever the first day is. I'm flying like that. If we know the night before, I'm flying in on the 5 a.m. flight the morning of. I promise you that. I'm done kicking the can, because I want to come. I want to see like this. I want to see these guys. I want to see the linemen. So this is going to be one of the things to watch. Definitely the first week of fall camp.
Yeah, I think the main thing to watch this weekend is it's the start of the Specs tequila sale. I'm about to be out of tequila, so right after the show, I think they'll still be open. I'm going to go over to Specs and go check this out. But I guess we got to hear from them.
It's tequila time. Who's ready for a margarita? Shake things up all month long with discounts on Blancos, Reposados, and Añejo tequila during Specs Tequila Sale.
All right, so Cody, I can't believe that X post you sent me yesterday, Cody, about the about Casamigos possibly not being really tequila. They've been lying, and Don Julio, they have extra kind of alcohol in there.
I was wondering what you were going to think of that.
Well, it's like I've thought about it a lot, and I was like,
that's why I sent it. That's exactly because I knew you would. That's why I sent it to you.
I was just like, because here I don't drink Casamigos.
Hornitos, here I come.
I drink Casamigos like from my everyday tequila, right? I drink Hornitos, right? Because it's a lot more affordable. But for whenever like I go out of town or special occasions, or I go hunting, or I go fishing, or like when we go out of town on business stuff where I'm at the combine or whatever, like I'll buy a big thing of Casamigos. I don't know why. It's like the thing I like to do kind of for special.
Because it's a badass bottle.
Yeah, and I have one of those coming up. I'm going to go out for next weekend, going out to my like my best buddy from high school, his ranch, and I think it's the last weekend for turkey. And so I'm like, I need to go buy a bottle of that kind of tequila. I'm like, am I going to still buy Casamigos? I'm just like, who am I kidding? I'm still buying Casamigos. It's like, and who knows? All this might not even be true.
Alex is going to be like, this tastes like rice.
What did they put? They put some gin in here or something. Casamigos has always had a little bit of a different taste than other tequilas.
That makes sense now. They're mixing it in with sand and salt.
Look, I've been thinking about it. I've been depressed about it, but we're gonna get over it. And listen, we're gonna have a great weekend. All right. Now you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Cody Carpentier, at Alex Dunlap NFL. If you could, please like the show, subscribe to the channel. If it's your first time watching the show, please come see us again. We're on here every night at 6 p.m. And if you do like the show and have a friend who you think might like it, please help us to continue to grow by sharing the show with them. All right. Love you guys, man. Thank you for being here. Have a great Mother's Day weekend. Be safe. Enjoy your loved ones. We'll see you guys on Monday. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.